Coming up on this episode of Courage Over Comfort by Matt Logan Speaks.
Life's full of decisions, and I always took the wrong one because I didn't want to hear anyone else's idea. I knew it all, man.
Right. Closed-minded too.
Yeah. My gosh.
But I think we're all that way. It's certainly up to a certain point. I was, man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I knew it all, and certainly made a lot of people mad, when they came to me and said, "Hey, wait a minute, dude."
Right.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Courage Over Comfort. I'm Matt Logan, and this episode that you're about to view was designed to actually be just honestly, we recorded it right after Christmas time, and it was going to be aired in the early part of the new year of 2020. And just best laid plans, right? I mean, we just never know where things are going to go, but now is the time, and for some reason, maybe now is the perfect time that this episode is going to air. So I want to talk about Brett Bradford a little bit, but honestly, throughout this podcast, he did a remarkable job of telling his story and how he really contemplated jumping out of a window when he was being arrested. So please help me welcome Brett Bradford. Hey, Brett, thanks for being here, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have like some championships behind your name and all those things, but really that's not what made you who you are. Mm-hmm. The reason you got there is the reason we're sitting down today, and you're back home for Christmas, and I appreciate your time. And
yes, sir.
You were telling me about all these things that you're doing and working out with your former wrestling team and coach, and then running out here and helping us out with your story, and really appreciate that.
Hey,
man.
I appreciate being here.
Yeah,
for reals.
Yeah, good.
Mm-hmm.
What I remember, and I want you to tell the story because I'm going to learn a lot more about you, but I'm going to tell you what I remember.
Sure.
I remember, I believe it was kind of at night when I heard your story. I knew you, of course, and things, but I was like, wow, this guy, what potential. I was just really sad, right? And I was thinking, oh, man, I hope that, this young guy can get through this and figure this out, and the potential that you had was incredible.
Right.
And it seemed like from the outside looking into your situation there was like, I don't know if there is recovery, right? And some of your dreams, and obviously your dreams got kind of held back a little bit because of some of that. But tell us about it. Tell us about that day.
Sure. So now are we talking about wrestling?
Yes, wrestling.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a state championship, state tournament. It's the pinnacle of all high school dreams, really. And like you said, mine was taken from me. More so, actually, I gave it away due to some decisions, choosing, honestly, personal pleasure over, that discomfort of just discipline. And I decided to smoke some marijuana at the state tournament at our hotel, but soon got in trouble, got found out, and my coach was notified, and so I had to get disqualified from that tournament. Yeah. And that was a blow to the heart and to the family.
Right. And that basically at that point kind of puts you back into what category? Really, how old were you at the time?
I was 17.
Yeah. So obviously that's a pretty big blow to a 17-year-old, that your dreams are, where you're headed and the potential that you had. And what did you feel?
Disappointment, shame. All of it just snowballed, and just tempted, and I gave in so many times to just giving up. That was a common theme. I would just continuously give up where I wouldn't put forth effort, and that happened. And then I heard it in high school at the time, you could graduate early. So right after that tournament, there was 4 weeks left of school, and due to my my rebellious nature or whatever getting caught, I got suspended for 2 weeks. So now there's only 2 weeks left of high school, and I had to scramble because I missed class and all this stuff. So I graduated with by the skin on my teeth, as some people say. And so boom, just mistake after mistake, and all of a sudden here I am graduating, but it doesn't even feel like I deserved it or earned it. And so it was kind of like not that success story or that great moment most people have when they graduate. And so it was kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And the momentum. Well, tell us about the championships and stuff after high school.
So in college recently, I got the national championship.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Down in Kentucky. And previously also I got runner-up at the junior college national championships as well, wrestling here at RCTC.
Yeah.
And complete turnaround. Like just in that period of time, a lot has happened, to say the least.
For sure.
Yeah, I had a lot of growing, and even after that first failure, there was still lots more failures leading up to the pinnacle change, I guess you could say, that happened in my life.
Yeah, and so it's kind of perpetual motion at that point, isn't it? Like that started the snowball. You know that night and stuff. You're kicked out of the championships and all those things, and it starts a snowball, doesn't it? Like at first, probably in your mind,
right? And it's like there's a split second moment where it's like, okay, do I stop this momentum and start to build up, change directions, or do I just let it just keep going? And I just let it keep going, and that's, like you said, that momentum just spilled over into college, and it's eventually getting arrested for distributing drugs. It just kept going because I kept giving into it.
Yeah.
Kept adding more snow. It just kept rolling.
Bigger and bigger and bigger problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So you in junior college and some of those things, you're probably in a state of mind of, you need to make ends meet, no doubt, and that's why you kind of got in trouble for selling and things like that, right? Is that, help me understand that?
Yeah, so I'll kind of back it up. So high school, that big failure happened, and then somehow, God's grace, I guess you could say, I was still called to go wrestle for a school in Iowa, Decorah, Iowa. Luther is the name of the school.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of where I allowed that snowball to continue.
Sure.
And then eventually started selling drugs and then got arrested. And it was at that point, really, I was at my lowest point. And that's why I was able, like I said, that split second where you can stop the momentum.
Yeah.
Because it happens in everything. In wrestling, often, there's like an opportunity for you to allow, just keep losing, or you can switch it and just go after it. And so that's what I was allowed to do. It was to like a 5 seconds decision, but in that depression, in that state of mind where I just wanted everything to be over, I found myself praying, which I've never done before. And this is in college when I had the opportunities for drugs and women and parties and all of that, and it just didn't fill that hole I guess I felt I had. Yeah. And so I was broken, and there was only one way out, I felt like. And that's what most people would choose, suicide. And suicidal ideation, it was very prevalent to me in this moment of my life. And I know many people experience it now, plus anxiety and depression and just not coping it with the right way. But I guess I didn't move forward with the suicide idea just because of family. I just thought of my family, and that's why I felt like, well, I guess God's the only place to go, and if he's even there. I wasn't raised, in a religious setting or Christian setting, but I just knew that I just needed help. That's all I knew, man. And so I was like, God, do something, because I can't do anything else. I just need help. And that's when 2 weeks later, got a knock on my door. It's this old guy. I don't know who this guy is. I'm waking up from my mid-afternoon nap, and he opens the door, and all of a sudden, police just flood in, and he's giving me this warrant to search my room, and I was just thrown back, anxious as all get out. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I run? I'm handcuffed. Can't do that. Do I jump out the window while I'm on the 4th floor? Can't do that.
Wow.
So there was just nothing that I could do. And then in that moment, I felt like a still small voice say, you prayed for this. And I was, I was a little upset. I prayed for this? Like, what? But then I realized like this was that moment, that split decision where I could just say, all right, I'm just going to give up and let that momentum just stop. I don't want to keep going downhill anymore. And I felt peace because I decided to tell him where the drugs were and all that. And I realized I didn't have to run anymore. I'd have to, keep going down that path.
Yeah.
And so at that moment, like I said, I felt that peace. And then I went to jail. So that peace kind of went away for a little bit. But in that time in jail and just getting out of jail and going back home, I realized that, living a life of surrender is much better than living a life where I'm just the pilot, because I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't half the time, but now I have good counsel. And so I just thought to my parents, I was like, all right, what do I need to do? And went to treatment. So I started a life of recovery, 5 and almost 6 years coming up.
Yeah,
and
great.
So living that life, that's when everything started to change. And then I decided to go to community college because I love wrestling, and it was a way to kind of keep me responsible. And so
needed that structure. And,
yeah, exactly. And I was still living at home for a couple of years. I ended up moving with my grandma because it was closer to the school. So I was well taken care of, didn't have to pay rent or anything. So making ends meet wasn't as much of the focus as was I need to grow. I need to, get closer to what's my purpose. And I started working at a treatment center after, and that was amazing. So I was able to help these guys go through exactly what I had gone through and experience that triumph and that experience. But, this is the most important part of my story, I believe, is when I was working at this treatment center, they would often go and worship God, through music and stuff. And I was in there still going through a lot of turmoil, not because of my past mistakes necessarily, but because of the continuously filling my heart up with things that wouldn't sustain. And I found a lot of it with relationships, and my heart got broken. It just happens. Dating all this time and stuff. So, but I was just really depressed. I knew it was different just because I had put so much hope into something, which you just never know. You can't put your hope into other people all the time. And so I was broken, brokenhearted, depressed again. And I heard this song talk about God, and I really felt like God was speaking me through that song. For anyone who knows, it's Oceans by Hillsong. Yeah. And I just felt like God, like I was in that midst of that storm and the waves and everything, but I felt like God was calling me. And what I thought I heard him say was, and it wasn't audibly, but like I felt it, he's like, where are you? I've been calling you to come home. You can come home now. Yeah. And, that's when my life changed. I reached for his hand proverbially, and I accepted him to my heart. And ever since then, man, my life has been amazing.
Excellent.
And not because it's been perfect, but because I have an opportunity to overcome through him. So. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Hey, so I do a lot of work with students, of course, as you know, and the thing that when they reach out, whether it be after a school assembly or whether it be, they'll send a message or whatever, they say a lot of their struggles, are able to narrow down into loneliness, and they kind of go down those paths because of loneliness and things. What was that like for you? Is that accurate? Is that for you? What?
Yeah, definitely. And lots of people I know, especially millennials, have heard the phrase, it's like we can be in a room full of people, but yet still feel lonely.
Yeah.
And that's how it's not the lack of something, which I thought it was. Going to college, I was like, well, I'm missing the parties, I'm missing the girls, I'm missing, the money or whatever. But it was just, it's a heart posture, I guess you could say. And what are you filling your heart up with? And, that loneliness for me, when I filled it up with stuff that wouldn't sustain, it's just like it increased. It didn't
you had
get
to do
better.
More and more and more and more and more and build and build and build.
Yeah. And even still, like I would feel really good, but then the next day or when that didn't sustain, it was because it was inconsistent.
Yeah.
And, but that's why like my faith has driven me so much now, is because it's a lot more consistent than, I always say like, the Bible's been around for 2,000 years. That's a pretty consistent time to be around for,
Yeah.
And, so having that in my life has been a huge rock for me, because, I've heard the, metaphor, it's like building a house on rock versus building it on sand.
Yeah.
Because before I was building on sand, it may have been quick, but it just kept on sinking whenever a storm came.
Yeah.
But then when I built my life on a rock, it's just like I'm okay. I can brave the storm. Sometimes I'll tell it to come,
And the storms are still there.
Yes,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's I think key to understand is the storms are still there.
Oh yeah.
When you're prepared for them, what a difference.
Exactly, and it just brings me into a next level of, and fears. I welcome it because I'm ready to overcome it with my faith. I don't, I heard this, it's like if fear consists on knocking, well, I'll go meet it at the door. I'm not afraid of fear because I know that on the other side is a greater accomplishment, a glory that I've never experienced before.
Yeah. Are you willing to talk about the suicide thoughts a little bit? Or not?
Sure. I mean, the only reason I feel like they afflicted me so much was because and I know there's lots of different schools of thought when it comes to suicidal and why people experience them and stuff, but I just wanted to escape, man. Like, that's all I ever wanted to do. I couldn't sit with myself. My friend...
And the drugs weren't doing it and stuff for you, the escape. Yeah.
And if they would only do it for so long, and that's why, I think if people say marijuana is a gateway drug, it's because of that mindset of escape. It only sustains for a little bit, and now it becomes the norm. So I got to escape from that again, and then, and so.
What do you think of it being legalized now?
I personally don't like it, because, like I said, I feel like so many people are tempted to use it as an escape when, reality and being in the present is the most important thing we can do, really.
Yeah.
And
so alcohol.
Yeah, I don't drink or nothing, and and just because of my personal experience and the possibility of someone else experiencing something like that, I don't endorse any of it.
Yeah. No, I fully understand that. I just didn't know where that level was for you. Some people say, I can drink, but I can't do this. I can not drink, but I can't do this.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. There's a lot of publicity around marijuana right now, and especially with some, I would say, high-level people.
Yeah.
And when I say high-level, I mean influential people. And I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
I've never experienced it. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I just haven't.
Yeah.
But I guess there's a little bit of a thought for me is what if it was more readily available for you? Would you have done it?
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, we can't know that.
Right.
But what do you think of that? I mean, is there validity to that?
Sure. This is I've had many discussions with friends.
Decriminalize, I guess, is maybe what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, and I honestly kind of deflect it to as much as whether I think it's good or bad, because it can be neutral, and the eye of the beholder, I guess. But for me, in my family, my wife as well, we both, we don't want to condemn anyone for anything. You don't want to make them feel bad for anything, but just, for us, it doesn't work. And so I want to live a life without it so people can see if they want what I have, maybe, the experiences that I have, they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And so seeing it as a necessity is my biggest fear for it being decriminalized, I guess, is I don't want people to have to rely on something physical that's so tangible, but yet doesn't sustain for a lifelong,
Yeah.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, so what you're kind of saying, I think, is what I heard you say is that to not replace it with what's sustainable, and what's sustainable is God.
Right, sure,
is really what you're saying. Yeah.
And now, a quick break for your ears if you're watching, and your eyes if you're... Wait, did I get that right? Here's some music. And now, back to the episode.
Water isn't sustainable in the sense of we keep needing more of it, but when we have, in my opinion, Christ in our heart, in our life, we don't need anything else.
Right.
There's just something about it.
And you don't have to wonder what your purpose is the Bible. It can tell us that in black and white, which is very important in a day where we're always asking why. And, it's okay. It's actually good to ask questions, but to not, I guess, be confined by an expected answer.
Yeah, right. That's key. Expected answers.
Yeah.
We are confined by those most of the time.
Yeah. And that's why we get disappointed sometimes when prayers aren't answered. They say, my prayer wasn't answered. Well, maybe it's just answered in a different way.
Yeah.
Look at my story. I did not expect God to answer my prayer with police coming knocking down my door.
Right.
But I'm glad it was answered in that way because it created me today.
Yeah. And I like how you said that you're not out to condemn anybody, and that's so important too, because no doubt you, with your circle, you run across other religions that you are able to kind of maybe converse with or whatever else, and to have that openness and non-judgmental that helps them understand where your point of view is coming from too, I think.
And what you said, openness, I think that's the most important, because looking to my past, I honestly don't remember anyone coming to outreaching me. It seemed like Christianity was a closed circle where you either go to it or you don't hear from it, and there wasn't anyone, classmates really or nothing, where they were talking about God as much as, I loved I loved the whole existential thoughts. I loved deep thoughts, but I just felt like it was so close-minded, Christianity was, so I never. But my goal is to encourage people to ask questions, and the old-fashioned Christianity, don't ask questions, just believe. But we're so thoughtful that God, He gave us these creative minds because He wants to nurture them, and so asking questions is it's awesome.
Yeah,
that's how you get new discoveries and new ways to do things.
Absolutely. That open-mindedness too, I think, is really what allows us to show a testimony, and things like that. Because I think. I want to circle back to this, though. People not talking about it in schools and things like that. Sure. You can't, and it's that's hard. Sad.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a sidebar. But I guess the thing that when you have that open-mindedness, and that's what, when Jesus was here, and quite honestly, whether you believe Jesus was who he says he was or not, his philosophy alone is a really great philosophy just to live, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think if we can just show that to people, and how he loved on people, but yet he said, how, hey, I'm not going to tolerate this either. You can come alongside and come along with, but these behaviors and this action, I'm not going to put up with that. I'm going this direction, and I'm not,
And he was a living example.
Yeah.
And I've recently accepted a position for FCA,
Nice.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Yeah. And, one of the biggest motivators, I think, that just helps us enter the schools is, well, one, they want what I have. They want a national championship. These coaches, that's what they want. They want their athletes to be successful. And so I tell them how I'm successful, and that was through high character, and those morals that would drive me, and all of them will agree on it. But there's difference in I guess someone that might have faith is just their consistency, and so I can even shed more light. Well, the reason I was so consistent is because of my faith, and using stuff like that, and if this is the way that you want to go when you pursue a championship or even just life, I can show you. I can just revert it back to what Jesus said. Really, I try to keep everything I say what He said, because that's the truth. And but yeah, just using that, like you said, as a living example, as what really gets people, especially with schools nowadays, but these coaches will be like, well, this guy has just got so much good stuff that our team needs to hear it. And we call them character coaches. And so, like, having someone to build up the character, everyone could have a character coach. It's so helpful, and so that's kind of like, there's ways around it, but yet people will readily accept us if they see the power that is in Jesus.
Yeah.
And so, but there's a lot, of course.
I feel like we're preaching here. That's not what it's about, but man,
I can't help when it's happened to me. That's all it is. Right. It's personal experience.
Yeah, it's huge. Now, you mentioned you're married, which I knew, and congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
Did you see when you were in the middle of that storm and you were being arrested and all those things, did you see that you could actually have a future? Did you see that you could, get married someday? Or was it just like drowning and everything was just over? And
Oh, that's a good question. And like, ever since I was born, I always knew that I was destined for something great. And like, I was just so excited because I just felt like, I remember in kindergarten, they say, what do you want to be when you're older? I said, a hero. I want to be a superhero, man. And, but like, the path to that, I couldn't see it. It was so foggy. I knew, like, it was just on my heart. Like, I knew something great was going to be birthed out of me, but like, I don't know. and when I didn't know how to get there, and so going through this, I was just like this lofty, that dream. It was so far away from where I really was, and so like drowning in it, I was just so lost. It's like I knew that there was a path, but I didn't know where it was and how to take it.
Yeah, because your path, I mean, I'm not sure exactly who came up with this, but your path was a straight line. I mean, you were thinking that, you're heading to greatness and championships and things when you were in high school, and you're heading this way. And, well, the Maker had other plans, and he brings us on this windy, twisty road.
Sure.
To get us to his destination. Yeah.
And like, there's mountains and there's valleys and there's like different things on the path that those trials, the mountains, the valleys are the trials, I guess, the experiences of getting caught or deciding to smoke weed. And so, I didn't handle those well. So I took a different path because of my poor choice, so life's full of decisions, and I always took the wrong one because I didn't want to hear anyone else's idea. I knew it all, man.
right closed-minded too.
And my gosh,
right.
Talk to my parents about that. You're full.
But I think we're all that way. It's certainly up to a certain point. I was, man. I mean, I thought I knew it all, and certainly made a lot of people mad, when they came to me and said, "Hey, wait a minute, dude.
Right.
This isn't wise." But we have to learn those things, right?
Yeah,
and that those are the things that build us into who we are. And I'm thankful that you didn't follow through on your thoughts of suicide and things, because we don't know what the next day holds, and we don't know what those plans are. And and it's like I like to say is seasons, and I'm not the only one, but we have seasons,
right?
And Game of Thrones. Winter is coming, right? For like 6 years, winter was coming. And we just have to understand that some seasons might be a little bit longer than others, and some seasons are short, but they're seasons. We'll get through them.
That's good. That's good. I know lots of people, and like you said, I've heard many people say it as well, and it's just a huge encourager for me, because it's not end all be all right now. And usually, it's always darkest before dawn. There was a lot of cliche statements we could run through, right? It's true. It's just it's been heard so many times that people don't take it seriously anymore. But when you live it, right, it's like, boy, wow, I heard that for 20 years and didn't really understand what it meant. Right. And then when you're in the middle of it, you get it. No doubt. That's what are some of your hobbies? I mean, lifting weights. I love to lift weights. It's funny, not to brag on anything. I thought it was funny. Yesterday was me and my wife's 7-month anniversary. Oh, awesome. We got married on May 25th, which is 5/25. Sure. And this morning I just deadlifted 525 pounds. So, nice. All right. But so lifting weights, I love it. That's the first time? Yeah, that was the highest I've ever. That's the most weight I've ever picked up. Yeah, so nice. It's encouraging. It's awesome. Skateboarding. I love to skateboard. I've been since wrestling season's over. I've been reigniting that passion. Okay. Yeah, and I guess just hanging out with people, studying the Bible, and and that kind of stuff. Yeah, famous people that you want to meet or have met. Oh, I don't even know, man. That's a good question. I mean, if you're a wrestler, and skateboarder, and Seth things. Gross is a wrestler who used to wrestle for Minnesota. Okay. And he's a cool dude, man of faith. I'd love to meet him. Tony Hawk, of course. Yeah, right. He's old. Yeah, but he is a pioneer. Exactly. He is old now, and he's got a son who's old too. Not that old. I mean, he's not old, but when I say that, I mean when you think of skateboarders or whatever, but he was a pioneer. I remember when he was just becoming known. So that would be awesome for me to meet him. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, I can't really think. Of course, I've only met one celebrity, and if you ever heard of the band Newsboys? For sure. I met him at an airport. Who? Michael, the lead singer. Tate? Yeah. Sure, yeah. And so I thought, I was like fangirl. I didn't even know what to do. As soon as I seen him, my heart was just pounding. I was like, I don't know what to do, man. Yeah. But I was able to meet with them. We got to pray even. So it's like, awesome. I couldn't think of a better way to meet these celebrities who have so many influences.
Yeah.
You know, like if I could meet a celebrity, I just want to pray with them. I want to encourage them that, you know, the platform they have can be very impactful, and
Right.
especially if they're doing it for the good reasons.
And now, a quick break for you to think about all the things you love in life, like Skittles. I love Skittles. And now, back to the episode.
Yeah, his good friend Toby Mac.
Yeah.
You know, you probably heard about his son and things.
Oh, no.
His son passed away
Dang.
weeks ago. Yeah, just like 21 years old or something. Sad deal. So
Yeah, no kidding.
that. But I remember what I was really gonna say here was like when they were just coming up as a band, DC Talk.
Yeah, DC Talk.
Yeah, that's
funny.
fun. That would be cool to see Michael Tate and for those levels. But
And it wasn't like there was a lot of people wasn't surrounding him or anything. Like he was super cool.
Yeah.
He asked me questions about myself, which was cool. Seemed pretty selfless guy, and I'm not sure how other celebrities are, but if they're like that, man, that's really cool.
so, how did you approach it?
I was just like, I think I know you. Yeah, you're from Newsboys, and he says,
Yeah.
"Yeah, my name's Michael. What's your name?" But like, I was just like, okay, let's go. And so I went and shook his hand and stuff, and it was. I was on my way to the FCA headquarters in Missouri, so we kind of had a little bit of stuff to talk about as well regarding FCA and stuff.
Was he on the same plane, or you saw him in the airport?
Yeah, he was on the same plane.
Okay.
And
Fun.
yeah, it was really cool, and I kind of like encouraged him by telling my testimony and where his music came in to, like, you know, just simplify some things that were really complex. You know, talking about faith and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was super
That's fun.
cool. Yeah.
Did you get his autograph?
No, I didn't do any of that. I was too
Picture with
nervous.
him?
Nope.
No, that just all escaped the
Yeah,
mind.
exactly.
Yeah.
I was just too nervous to ask anything else.
Right.
So maybe next time.
Were you just like when you approached him? Were you just waiting in line to get on the plane?
Yeah, we were all just chilling in the terminal, just
Yeah.
waiting. And I seen him from across the room where I was sitting, and so I just went over there, and yeah,
That's cool.
went back to my way. He went his way.
Right.
And we were on the same plane, but like, you know, I'm flying all the time and stuff. You kind of just keep your head down once you get on the plane. But
Exactly.
yeah, it
that's
was cool.
awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I fly a
Yeah.
lot too, and I've never encountered anybody quite that famous.
we were in
so-
the Nashville airport.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
I figure, you know, you'd think you'd see so many more famous people.
Yeah,
but,
in an area like that.
yeah,
for
Nashville.
sure. Yeah,
But
I have seen. I don't know who they were, but like, and why I was asking if he was like just in the terminal in line. They'll board the plane and then they'll bring a VIP on.
okay,
like way in front, first class
Sure,
type stuff,
sure.
right? Like I've seen that happen a couple of times. You know, they like literally they're escorted on and
yeah.
and stuff. So
Ours
you
was
know,
like super low key. Like it wasn't. It didn't even have a like first class. It was just like you are in waves or whatever, and you just get
Okay.
on, and then you just find a seat. So
you
like,
just sit wherever.
yeah, wherever's
Like,
open. And so like the first
seriously?
group, the first group goes on and they choose the best seats, and then the
Yeah.
second group and the third, fourth group. So
Wow.
like
What
slim
airline is
pickings.
that?
It was man, I don't even know. Maybe American, but
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
that's wild.
Yeah, it was. I've never experienced anything like that before. Because like
Yeah.
here I am waiting in line. I don't even got a seat. Like I was just like, wait,
That's
what?
gotta. I would be like panicked. I
Yeah.
think. Like, do they have enough room?
Yeah, I was so confused. But I was like the fifth wave, and there was still people even behind me. So I was like, well, I mean, they all like there's a spot in line that you get. So it's like group 5, spot
Okay.
4,
Okay.
or something. And so that's where you get. That's your seating, I guess.
Sure.
And so
Yeah, it's all
it was
different,
weird.
I suppose.
You gotta find most of them were middle seats, of course.
Okay, yeah,
you gotta
right.
squeeze in between two people.
Yeah,
Don't get the window. It's my
Yeah.
favorite seat.
Yeah, the window's the best. You can sleep a lot easier on the window too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But then if you gotta get up to the bathroom, you gotta crawl
Yeah.
over people. But
Yeah.
And I've flown to the Philippines before, and
Sure.
that was 13-hour flight, 12-hour flight. It was
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, I kind of feel like I know the ways a little bit.
Were you stuck in the middle again?
No, not
No.
this time. Thank God.
Yeah. Window?
Yes,
All
window.
right, yeah.
I mean, I tried every time I get the chance to, I'll sit window.
Yeah.
And
Were you able to sleep?
Yeah. I mean, I forced myself to sleep.
Okay.
Really, the first time, like the first getting there, I was with my grandma. She came with me and back, and her and I had the 3 seats, just 2 of us. So it was
Oh,
easier
wow.
for me to lay down,
Yeah.
rest my head on grandma.
Right.
You know,
Nice.
And then on the way back, it was full.
Okay.
So it was easier to sleep the first time.
Yeah.
But like on those long flights, man, I did a lot more of not sleeping than sleeping.
Right.
Watching movies, you got to get up and try to do some sort of like exercise, get the blood flowing,
Yeah.
and get back. But it was a long flight.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah. it
Yeah,
was.
those flight stories can get interesting, can't
Oh
they?
yeah.
I digress.
Yeah.
So you are you making your home in Kentucky?
Sure.
Tell us about where you're at right now with
So
things.
right now I'm in Kentucky, Columbia, Kentucky, a podunk town that nobody knows of. But we have an awesome college there, and so my wife and I, we're living just right off of campus.
Okay.
I'm still going to school. I graduate in May.
Nice.
Finally. Long
Yeah.
time coming.
What's your degree?
Human services.
Okay.
And then a minor in Christian ministries. And I would have done a major in Christian ministries, but just because of all the school I took in RCTC, the community college, it didn't transfer to the ministry major, but it transferred to the human services major. So
Yeah.
it was easier for me to graduate. But yeah, so that's our home for now in the foreseeable future. Like I said, I accepted the FCA job, which I'm super stoked about. I'll be working there for at least 3 years once I get like really full time. And then, I'll be working 3 different counties down there too, where I just go to the schools and encourage coaches and athletes for Jesus. Jesus and sports are my favorite 2 things. And
Awesome.
Yeah, and my wife's going to plan on going back to school too, so I guess where she decides to go to school will also be a factor. But we really love the area right now, but we don't see ourselves staying forever. We see ourselves traveling to many different places, hopefully overseas for a certain amount of time, like 5 years, 3 years, and just getting surrounded in a culture like that.
Yeah. Anywhere in particular you want to go?
Philippines. My dad is Filipino, and so just having that history, like 50% of me, it's really cool to go back there and see all the culture and stuff. And specifically doing ministry, of course, I want to do some sort of missionary work.
Okay.
My wife and I, we went to the Dominican Republic for 6 weeks, shortly after our honeymoon. So fresh married couple, we went down there, and it was so much fun. We loved it. It was hard work too. I mean, it's not just vacation. Some people might think.
Right.
It was hot. It was, construction was crazy, going to these schools, and it was pretty chaotic, but we just loved being able to see, how even with the language barrier, we can still connect with others. And yeah.
What do you kind of what came to mind was you're living a full life, right? And that's amazing. I have conversations with people that are like, we're in this and we can't do this, and we're not going to have a very good future and things like that. Talk about that.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people get caught up when they get into a place of just real they're wallowing in what happened and things like that, and that perpetual motion that you went through. Touch on that a little bit more. Go a little deeper with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in anything, life because every day we have something going on. It's easy to be not maybe complacent isn't the word that I want to say, but like we get so used to it that it's not appreciated. And because I went through all of that, I'm able to appreciate each moment a little bit more because I know what could be. And so I feel like that's what encourages me to try to do the most that I can right now. But like when I was stuck in that lifestyle, it was because I wasn't grateful, I guess, and I wasn't. And we all say like you're not grateful, and I always hear that when I was a kid. Like it's so bad of a term, but like it's easy to be not grateful. It's easy to be complacent and not really give thanks to where thanks is due. And it's small things, just remembering, well, good thing I got a bed and a roof over my head. Like as small as it can get, it will change your mindset big time. It's just the little things. And so like that's what encourages me, and I believe that it will encourage anyone who feels like they're stuck in a rut, and also dream big. I mean, there's no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, well, what made me think of my next question statement, however you want to view it, I guess, is what you said about Dominican. It was fun and hard work. And that's kind of like, it's true. It is. I've done some missions things, and I'm not saying that to say, ooh, yay, for me.
Good,
but what I'm saying is I understand what you mean.
Sure.
Because there is a lot of hard work that's involved, but the perspective of your mind makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And there's also time outside of those moments that you are working that you can explore and have some fun and learn more about the area or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the same with life when you're stuck in that moment, right? It's like, this is hard work, but it's also fun.
Yeah.
And it's all about changing that mindset. So I appreciate that perspective a lot.
Yeah, and like that's a huge thing of just what I've kind of been going through this year is, we can either look at things as obstacles or opportunities, and that's kind of like we have that choice every day. And I often saw that, I mean, like this wrestling, I love wrestling so much because it taught me so much about life. I got to cut weight. Well, this is an opportunity to see how far I can really go. Like, what can I really do? How can I push myself? And so, like, transitioning that mindset into a daily living, it's a little bit harder maybe in a sense of, you've been living a daily life for so long. It's not just compartmentalized into a sport. Like, we got to use all of these values we learn and spread it across the broad scale of life. And so accumulating all of that stuff. And I mean, I guarantee you meet, another thing too, like going to a mission, talking to new people, they all have some sort of wisdom in them. And, if anything, I want to draw it out because there's so much gold, I guess you could say, that people have in their life, but they just don't know how to share it or tap into it. And
sometimes people don't give them the opportunity to tap into that or share it, right? And people don't ask them the questions.
Right. Yeah. There's so much power in our stories and our testimonies and just everything we go through in life. It's taught us all unique lessons and unique wisdoms that, it can be shared endlessly. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the key, isn't it? Is to understanding that we do have that gold, as you put it.
Sure.
That we can just really share with everybody, especially in these days, right? Podcasts,
right.
People in India, I mean, Canada and all over the place, Spain and different things are hearing some of the stories. And
the world's a lot smaller nowadays.
It's helping everybody everywhere. So that's stories are gold.
It is.
It's a lot of wisdom in our stories.
Yeah, everyone's so unique, everyone's so powerful, and it's like we said, some people don't get the best situations or circumstances where they get to share or tap into it, or they just life has just been hard. But there's always someone you can learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. What's been the hardest criticism for you to get through?
Probably for myself, if anything. Okay. Just doubt or a thing that like I often try to tell myself when I get scared is I'm not qualified to do what I'm doing nowadays. Like, who am I? And like you can just look at my past or any mistakes that I made recently. It's like I'm tempted to criticize myself over it, and I push myself away from what I know I really can do. And so, I'm the biggest critic for sure. Because otherwise, most people I don't get too bugged out by if someone tells me something.
Yeah.
Obviously it hurts if someone was really close to you and stuff. But, usually the people I really let into my heart, I know that if they're telling me something, it's true. Even if it hurts a little bit, I know that's a good course correction.
Yeah.
So, myself.
Yeah, it's true. That's good to understand ourselves and when we're in those positions of needing course correction.
Yeah.
You do some speaking. Do you do Q&As at all?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I did one recently. Last time I was here with I can't remember his name, but he does KROC Sunday mornings.
Oh, sure, Gary Kadansky.
Yeah, Gary. That was my first Q&A ever. Really. Of course, you speak and then you have a section afterwards for Q&As, but like. And this as well, like where it's just all Q&A. It's my favorite. It's the most natural.
Yeah. What's been the hardest question for you to answer, or maybe not answer, but to think about and process?
That question. No,
right? It's deep, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's always hard when people don't quite, know where they're at or why they're there. You know, why am I going through this suffering and stuff? And the reason it's hard is because I feel like I know the answer, but it's not the answer that they need to hear right now. And it's not the answer essentially as like, it's because you did this, and that. It's the answer because, you know, sometimes we go through things just so we can get out of it and then share with someone else who's going through it.
Yeah.
And
So true.
and sometimes it's hard for people to hear that at the time because it's easy for them to maybe think, well, that you just like negated everything that I'm experiencing then. That means nothing. And so like, just trying to word it in a way it's like what you're going through is a powerful time, and I like to say that there's power in the process, and sometimes we're going through a process. We may not know it, but you know, we never know sometimes. But I didn't think I was going through a process when I was getting arrested. You know, I mean, obviously they do processing and stuff, but I mean,
yeah, exactly, yeah, but like an internal process.
Yes,
of
exactly.
figuring this out,
Mm-hmm.
and
it
building
prepared.
your character. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it built my character, prepared me for something, you know, that I'm still going through a process preparing me for something else, you know, and all that life brings me, it can be used as a process and a preparation.
Yeah, excellent. Somebody that's been in a similar situation as you, and pick a level, man. I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, the drugs, suicide, whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, speak to them right now. What can you? What will your story do to help them?
Like we said it, man. Everyone has gold in them. You know, like don't ever doubt how appreciated you are, even if people don't appreciate you. Like. And for me, God's love was just so powerful, and it was just crazy for me to realize. And I want to encourage everyone that you are loved. I like genuinely love you, and I don't even know who you are yet, but I just know that everyone has something so special inside of them that I just want to see them flourish. You know, going through stuff that I went through and experiencing times where it feels like there is no life, you know, there is no fruits of anything. It's just death here and there. There is a light in the darkness, you know, and once you realize that, it's so powerful. And so don't give up, you know, it's just a process maybe, you know, because you never know when you're going to reach that miracle. And so don't quit before the miracle happens is a term I have heard all the time, because you just never know. I mean, you just really never know. But I know that something great can happen.
Yeah. It's happened with you.
Yeah, definitely,
Absolutely.
man. I mean, you talk about like the most hopeless people. If you think of someone who you're like, oh man, that dude is not going to make it. Well, that was me.
Yeah.
I was seriously not going to make it.
Yeah.
But now look at, you know, and it's just crazy because it shows how powerful a life of surrender, especially include Christ, like how it can just flip. And now some of the most successful people, Robert Downey Jr. That'd be a guy I want to meet.
Yeah.
Because like he had a past, you know.
Oh boy, wow, that's
crazy.
true. Yeah.
That was crazy. But now, I mean, super influential person.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Brett, thanks a lot for being here, man.
Yeah,
Really
thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it. Yeah,
That was good.
Appreciate your
Yeah.
time.
Of course.
See you next time, man.
Sounds good.